I've done all of Brighton.
Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy. I'm your host, Andrew Iles. And how have you all been? You been good? I hope so. Let me know down in the comments below how you've been, what movies you've seen, all that jazz. Let's get into it. What's been happening with me? Oh, I don't know. Big news. Just got fucking engaged. That's right. Becoming a big boy now. Obviously had the ring before COVID hit and lockdown and all that sort of stuff. Was going to propose then, but of course lockdown happened and I didn't want to propose in lockdown. Even though I had a couple of mates who did, that's good for them. That's awesome. But I kind of wanted to do something a little bit special. But anyway, restrictions lifted. Last minute. Hunting around because we had one weekend off, the only weekend that we had off together, and hunted around for somewhere to stay. Found this beautiful little place called Ruby Cottage in the Yarra Valley. Messaged the guy, told him why I needed the room. It was this nice little cottage, and he goes, mate, it's all yours. Me and the partner rocked up there. They had a bottle of Chandon and ice, which was lovely. Didn't ask them to do that, they just bloody did it. Was wondering if any of the staff were going to spill the beans, but they didn't, thank God. We had some nice dinner together. We walked around the farm. Didn't realise that the place was in the middle of a horse riding school, which was interesting because I grew up on a farm surrounded by horses. Love horses, beautiful animals. And my partner, well now my fiancée, she used to ride horses in her youth. It was an absolute passion of hers. So, had a little accident there, I guess you could say. Yeah, had a nice walk after dinner. Found this nice little beautiful lookout over some mountains and some horses. And yeah, like a big boy, I popped the question. And she said yes. So here we are, big engaged boy now. It's good. Now we've got a wedding to plan. More importantly, we have a engagement party to plan with all the alcohol and presents that people give us. So yes, it's going to be a good time. So yeah, there you go. Big boy pants are worn now, and I'm now engaged. So that's what's been happening in my world at the moment currently. And today we're going to talk about a movie that, looking by the poster, I kind of thought I knew exactly how it was going to be, but, you know, was slightly surprised a little bit. Anyway, before I spoil anything, today we're reviewing the Liam Neeson film, The Marksman. Jim is a former Marine who lives a solitary life at a ranch along the Arizona-Mexican border. But his peaceful existence soon comes crashing down when he tries to protect a young Mexican boy as they desperately flee cartel assassins who have pursued them into and across the United States of America. Think you've seen this before? You bet your ass you have. Is it different? Not likely. Is Liam Neeson a badass? Kind of. Strap yourself in for a slow cross-country ride in The Marksman. And that's the synopsis for The Marksman, the Liam Neeson action/road trip film. It was directed by Robert Lorenzo. I think this is his second feature film that he's directed. The first one being a Clint Eastwood film called Trouble with the Curve. Yeah, I never heard of it either. But I looked at his credentials just very briefly, and it seems that he's produced and executive produced pretty much every Clint Eastwood film since Mystic River. So, you know, he's been around sets, he's been behind the camera a few times and stuff, but this is his second feature film, and he's cast Liam Neeson as his starring man. Of course, with Liam Neeson, he's playing a Liam Neeson character, okay? He's an ex-Marine. He lives on a struggling cattle ranch, and we know he's very much American. Why? Well, because he lives on a cattle ranch, for one. He constantly wears a cowboy hat, drives around in a pickup truck with his dog, constantly carries his rifle with sniper scope on top of it, and he has an American flag on a flagpole in the front yard of his ranch. Now, as previously stated, he lives on a Mexican border and helps Border Patrol sort of catch illegal immigrants as a bit of a hobby, I suppose you could say. Probably because his stepdaughter is a sergeant, or she's higher up in Border Patrol. So he kind of helps them via walkie-talkie, just for shits and gigs, I guess. But he's strapped for cash. The bank want to foreclose on his ranch. They want to take his house, all his land, all that sort of stuff. So he's fallen on hard times. Now he's trying to make odds and ends meet, trying to get jobs everywhere, but no one would hire him because he's old. Now, if I was him, I'd be hitting up Border Patrol going, hey, dickheads, you know all those illegal immigrants I've been helping you catch for the last fucking whatever months or who knows years? Yeah, how about you put me on the payroll? But he doesn't do that. Of course, he comes across a mother and a young boy jumping the Mexican border, and they are on the run from the Mexican Cartel. There's about 5 of them in the car when he comes across them. But why is the mother and the son running from the cartel? Don't ask questions. Ra's al Ghul gotta kill some cartel gangsters, and he somewhat does. Well, he kills one very important person, the antagonist's brother. So it's on like Donkey Kong, as you can imagine, or as the Mexican cartels say, "Está activido como Donkey Kong." Anyway, spoiler alert: Mumsy cops a bullet. Qui-Gon Jinn promises to get her son across to Chicago where her sister, well, the little boy's auntie lives, and he'll give him safe passage, or at least try anyway. So this time, Liam Neeson is doing the taking. The cartel are hot on their heels, and they've got to travel cross-country of America and keep safe, and yada, yada, yada. You know exactly how this is going to go. Now, watching the trailer, you'd think this is another Liam Neeson action flick, okay? And it's really not. But you know the action flicks I'm talking about. There's a bunch of them. They're fucking everywhere. It's usually Liam Neeson taking arse and kicking names. You know the ones, like he's a 6 foot, 1 million inch guy who's 68 years old, but I'm a bit worried about his bone density when he fights these blokes who are 20 years his junior. But surprisingly, this is not one of those movies. It's almost like the creators of these kind of films are calling bullshit now. They're like, look, there's only so much shit we can shovel into the public's eyes or whatever. Like, I think people are starting to call bullshit on certain action stars because he's 68 years old. He's getting up in the years. He's getting a bit long in the tooth. I mean, we've all seen a UFC fight. We all know what real fighting looks like and how it fucking turns out. But in this film, they do something different and actually utilize Liam Neeson's acting ability. Go fucking figure. This is not an action film, it's actually a road trip film. 90% of the movie is Qui-Gon Jinn and Dora the Explorer in a pickup truck going across America. And of course, you get the usual cliches, you know, they learn something from each other. Liam Neeson, you know, helps the boy through some emotional struggle with the loss of his mother and stuff. And of course, teaches the boy how to shoot a gun, because America. But the 4 cartel gangsters are hot on their heels, and they're just missing them every so often for wherever they stay or whatever town they visit, and leaving like a trail of bodies behind them in their wake. You also get a couple of little chuckles throughout the film of how old Liam Neeson is. They really call it out in this one. There's one in particular scene when he goes into a gas station and he's looking for a map because they're on a road trip. And the young gas station clerk gives a bit of a chuck and goes, no one uses maps anymore, everyone just uses Google. But Liam Neeson finds a map because he finds shit, that's what he does, and she chuckles about it because he's old, and she gives it to him for free because he's a senior citizen. And he's an all-around good guy. I mean, he's fucking Liam Neeson. Now, Qui-Gon Jinn and Dora the Explorer are going to Chicago. That's where the kid's auntie is staying. And what do? How do they, you know, they're fine when they're going to Chicago? Well, they get the map, and they put a big red fucking texter circle around Chicago. Do you know what address you're going to? No, we're going to Chicago. Okay, do you know what street you're heading to? No, we're going to Chicago. Why do they put a big red texter around the city of Chicago where they're heading? So the bad guys can find it and know where to track them down later. Of course, it's just the city of Chicago. How do they find them? Fuck if I know, it's Chicago. Long story short, Liam Neeson decides to help the boy out of the kindness of his heart and not for the bag of money that the mum bribed him before she died. Wait a minute, what? That's a fucking plot device? Yeah, I didn't know either until the kid finds the money and gets upset finding that Liam Neeson's doing all this for cash. Now, either I missed that plot point at the start of the film, or it wasn't specified at all, or I just didn't give a shit. Possibly all three, but apparently that's a thing. But anyway, Liam Neeson learns a lesson and he decides to not take the money, and they both sit in front of a fire eating Pop-Tarts because America, and they burn the cash because it's drug money, and that's bad. Whatever. But also, an odd note on the side there, when they were burning the money, I could have sworn that the fire was CGI. I don't know, just a little side note I noticed. The exterior shot, the fire looked animated. Could be wrong, not a big fucking deal, but something I noticed. Anyway, the 4 cartel blokes rock up, you know, they have an anticlimax. trying to hunt down the boy and kill Liam Neeson. And Liam Neeson kills them off one by one, spoiler alert. And he ends up with the last guy and some sort of reveal, I guess it was, that this head of the Mexican little gang cartel that were chasing him, the one whose brother was killed by Liam Neeson at the start of the film, he reveals himself to be a soldier, knowing that Liam Neeson was a soldier, and there's sort of this weird, odd camaraderie thing going on. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know if it was established earlier on, but it was there. As I said, probably didn't give a shit. It could have been established. Might not have been. But Liam Neeson gives him the ultimatum of dying with honour, gives him a gun with one bullet, and of course he shoots himself. And that's about it. And thank God all those 4 cartel guys in the car died, so no other drug cartel could come after them into America like the other guys did and try and find their fucking money. Good God, they got away scot-free. Live happily ever after, I guess. Anyway, that was The Marksman. It's going down the road or the path of a lot like movies like Rambo 5, The Bloodfather, or Logan, which Logan was probably a 5-star version of this kind of film. A road movie, a kid in need, and a grizzled old veteran sort of helping him. And they learn lessons from each other. It's kind of that kind of movie, and it's a road film, so don't really pay attention to the trailer as much, because it makes it look like it's another kind of Taken, non-stop, walk amongst the tombstones, kind of Liam Neeson, yeah, normal fare there. It's not. It's just a road film. A little slower pace, but not completely snail's pace. Not much action, which doesn't really bother me because, I mean, action's, you take it or leave it these days with modern action films, so it's kind of nice to see something a bit more subdued, but yeah, it's not great. Look, I'll give it a solid, maybe 2 stars, maybe. I said solid 2 stars. I'd say I'd give it 2 stars. Very forgettable, but, you know, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It kind of didn't decide whether it wanted to be something serious and something a bit like a Liam Neeson film, I suppose you could say. But it's okay. It's alright. This is like, what, the 5th episode now that I've reviewed a film that was okay. There's a lot of them. Wasn't incredibly fun, but it wasn't severely boring either. If you're a Liam Neeson fan, you're going to like it. If you hate the cartel and want them to see some sort of comeuppance, yes, you're going to like it, I suppose. Again, it was better than Rambo 5, that's for fucking sure. Yeah, it's okay. Do I recommend it? Yeah, sure, I guess. It's a Liam Neeson film, but I wouldn't go rushing out to see it. Alright, that was The Marksman. Wrapping it up with a recommendation, I think there's, goes without saying what I'm recommending today is Ruby's College, where I proposed to my lovely fiancée. You can find them on stays.com, that stays with a Z. I highly recommend them. They rolled out the red carpet for us, they gave us a champagne, they were super lovely, everyone that worked there. And if you want to learn how to ride horses, there's a horse riding school right fucking there, in the Cottage. It's in Taronga Park, Wandin North, near Yarra Valley. You hit him up, it's run by William Anker. He's a lovely man. I gave him a 5-star review, obviously, and now I'm giving him a shout out now. So, that's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was the latest episode of Spicy Boy. Again, write down below, what's your favourite Liam Neeson film? There's a fuck ton of them. I want to hear what you guys have got to say, because he's, you know, he's a badass. I love the guy. You know, he's getting long in the tooth, but he's awesome. He's got the acting chops, but also he can dish out a pretty good action film as well. I mean, the guy's Qui-Gon Jinn, for fuck's sake. You know, good on him. But yeah, write down what your favourite Liam Neeson film is. Don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. And yeah, stay spooky, kids.